And now, In the Dirt with Tim Baltz.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special edition of In the Dirt right here on YouTube. My name is Timmy Baltz. Glad you could join us here once again this week. First off, we want to acknowledge some of our great sponsors that are here with us in 2022 that make this show possible. First of all, Disaster RX DKI, Rita Acres Family Campground, Thousand Islands Drone, and Alexandria Home Hardware. Well, we are at another shop. We are at Pat's Radiator. And yes, that's right. Pat and Danny O'Brien are here today, legends in the Northeast in modified racing. We're going to have exclusive interviews with both of those drivers, so stick around. These are going to be really good ones, and we're looking forward to it. I can't wait. I'm starstruck because they're off to my right over here, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But first of all, we got a lot of racing results to get to, so let's get right to it, shall we? First of all, we want to start it off. The Super Dirt Car Series had a couple of events these last couple of weeks. Mr. Dirt Track USA at the Lebanon Valley Speedway Labor Day weekend. It was Andy Bichetti picking up another Mr. Dirt Track title. On September the 10th of the Weed Sport Speedway, Lightning Larry White picked up the victory. He also claimed the Empire Super Sprint feature that night, so a double dip for Larry. And September 11th at the port was rained out, unfortunately. Dirt Car 358 Modified Series for the final weekend at the Can-Am Speedway Friday night. It was Tim Fuller collecting the feature win. The Dirt Car Sportsman North Central Series was there, and Tyler Corcoran collected the checkered flag in the John Burr Memorial. Famco Dirt Car Pro Stock feature went to Tyler Bushy, and the Ron White Memorial Thunder Car feature paid $1,000 to the winner. Track champion Joe Orvis collected the checkered flag. Brockville Speedway held the Trailer Pro Canada weekend. It was a two-day show, Friday and Saturday, September 9th and 10th. On Friday, it was Jacob Dykstra picking up the Action Sprint Tour feature win. Dexter Billings in the 50s and 60s vintage. Jason Riddell collected the 70s and 80s vintage show, which was actually run on the Saturday due to an electrical issue at the racetrack. They had to hold it over till the following day. Mark Lalone won the Dirt Car Pro Stock featuring Andrew Hennessy in the Northeast Late Model Alliance show. Trailer Pro Canada weekend, day number 2. Jacob Dykstra again in the Action Sprint Tour. Dexter Billings doubled up in the 50-60 vintage. Jason Riddell again in the 70s and 80s vintage class. Bobby Harrington, the Dirt Car Sportsman feature, and Bob Ray, who has been on the men's the last couple of seasons, came back and won the Supernet Truck Shop Mini Stocks. Dirt Car Sportsman West Canada Series at the Ohsweken Speedway September the 9th. It was Nelson Mason picking up his first ever series win. Gary Lindbergh in Dirt Car 358 action. Dirt Car Sportsman West at the Merrittville Speedway Saturday night. It was Cody McPherson collecting the checkered flag there. Dirt Car Sportsman East Regional Series finale at the Bear Ridge Speedway in Vermont. It was Ryan Christian collecting the checkered flag. Dirt Car Sportsman North Canada Series at Autodrome Drummond. It was Sam Charlin, his first career series win. Francois Bernier in the 100-lap Dirt Car 358 feature. It was Bruno Sear in the Dirt Car Pro Stocks. Sabrina Blanchette collected the Lightning Sprint feature win. Dirt Car Pro Stock Series, they were at the Weed Sport Speedway on Saturday, and it was Nick Stone collecting back-to-back wins at the port there on Saturday. Brighton Speedway, Canadian Mod feature went to Curtis King. Comp 4 went to Tommy Bailey on Saturday night. Northeast Late Model Alliance, Adam Turner, another crate late model victory. Cole Abrams in Mini Stock, and the Stinger division went to Dylan Barker. Well, that is some of the race results that we have for you from this past weekend. We are going to talk to Pat and Danny O'Brien coming up very shortly. Stick around, like and subscribe if you've not done so already. Come right back with us. You're not going to want to miss it right here on In the Dirt.
Rita Acres is the place to be.
It's vacation time. What are your plans for RVing and summer fun? Why not book now for your summer camping and RVing at Rita Acres Family Campground, Eastern Ontario's full-service camping facility, located on a UNESCO World Heritage Site known as the Rideau Canal, on a series of lakes joined by lock systems that links Kingston to Canada's capital city, Ottawa. Rita Acres is only 10 minutes from downtown historic Kingston. Here's what Rita Acres has to offer you and your family when you visit: the spacious pull-through campsites, trailers, and motorhomes, the swimming pool staffed with lifeguards, a beautiful beach to enjoy for a relaxing afternoon of fun and family, excellent fishing on Colonel By Lake, a boat docking facility for your fishing or pleasure craft, boats, canoes, and kayaks available for rent, Cabin, a beautiful banquet hall for weddings or meetings to fit any occasion. 136 acres of outdoor adventure, hiking, biking, playground, swimming, fishing, horseshoes, basketball, and so much more. Make Rita Acres your camping destination this year. You better book now. We're filling up fast. Visit ritaacres.com or call 613-546-2711.
Rita Acres is the place to be. Come on out, you'll see at the gated community.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to a special edition of In the Dirt right here at Pat's Radiator. And we're sitting here with Dirt Car Hall of Famer and Northeast Modified legend, Pat O'Brien. Patty, what's going on? How's things? How's life?
Good. Couldn't be better.
Do you miss the race car stuff at all?
Well, you're always going to miss it, I think. We did it as long as we have, but 32 years was a long stretch, and it was time to move on.
Now it's time to go ride snowmobiles in the winter and fish in the summer, right?
That's right.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
So you've had a great career as a driver, but it all goes back a lot farther than that. Your dad was, a great driver around here, Kingston and Brockville and Cornwall, Watertown, any speedway you name it, he raced at it, and he probably won at it. What was some of your fondest memories those early days going to the track with the old man?
We were pretty young at the time, Dan and I. This Friday nights at the Kingston Speedway was kind of fun, and having a race car in your backyard was always pretty cool.
Right.
And he quit racing. We were only, I think, 10 years old.
Wow.
And he kind of walked away from it and had to stay away to keep quit racing. And he ended up took us, I think, when we were in our mid-teens, and we got hooked again, and away we went.
So, when you guys went back to the racetrack, started watching some of the great drivers back in those days, did you really want to get into a car, or was it just something that you started maybe helping a couple of guys and thought, maybe I'll try this out and see how it works?
Oh, I think when your racing was in your family at one time, it's always there. Always as a kid thought couldn't wait, that'd be the thing to do. Mm-hmm. And then when we got done, we hung around Brockville a little bit for them couple races, and then started helping out Huey Naylor on his car down there when he had Bob and Mark driving for him, and the rest was history.
And then towards the mid-'80s, you got into your own car and didn't win right away. Had a few stumbles along the way, like anybody just starting out. But when you started to win, you won a lot, and you started from '87 right straight on through the rest of your career. It was pretty fun, wasn't it? Winning all those races a lot.
Yeah. The first year, Dan and I got an old chassis and a bunch of old parts and put a car together. He worked with me the first 2 years. He wasn't racing yet, and we didn't really know what we were up to the first year. We got lucky the second year. Don Carlisle over the winter worked with us and built us a chassis, and by the end of '86 we were running seconds in quite a few races, and got lucky and won opening night at Can-Am in 1987 and the track championship in Brockville that year. And from there on, we're pretty lucky and fortunate to be involved with a lot of good people along the way.
I was just going to say, you got hooked up with some really good people along your career. Sheldon Agui was the driver the car owner that you're most famous for driving for. That was what really put you on the map as far as one of the top drivers in the Northeast, really. Yeah,
got very lucky, right place at the right time, and got that ride, and we just clicked. And the first year was probably the best one we ever had, and then it was 5 years with him. Then went back on my own and took a little bit to get going again, and then drove for him a little bit for another year, and then he'd passed before we could get going again. Then got lucky enough after that to hook up with John and Laura White, and yeah, a lot of good people along the way.
In a lot of big wins and a lot of big, a lot of championships along the way. Of course, everybody remembers that magical night at Can-Am when you bested the Super Dirt Car Series talent there. That I'm sure that stands out in your mind as, you win a lot of races and sometimes you don't remember them, but I'm sure you remember that night very well.
Yeah, I was still pretty young in my career. I think that was only 1990.
Yep.
And it was a big deal. I remember getting the lead in it like it was yesterday. It's okay. When are they coming?
Because I was going to say, a small block against big block on an almost 5/8 mile track, it just almost didn't stand a chance, but you made it work.
Well, it was a big small block. It wasn't a 358.
Secrets come out, ladies and gentlemen. But you won that race. You beat Brett Hearn, and Brett even said it in Victory Lane. He says, you deserved it, and you ran up front, and you everything just fell your way. And who'd have thought? Some 15 years later, you got another big block series win at Brockville too.
Yep. No, we've been fortunate to get some big ones along the way for just a small little team, and yeah, lots of championships and fun. And
Absolutely. And, championships at all the area racetracks, too. And I think the only other track that you didn't win a title at was Edelweiss. Then again, you didn't run there all the time. But that's going to kind of feel neat when you go to a racetrack, even as a race fan. I saw you and Dan this past weekend at Can-Am, and you sit there in the stands and you watch the races. Is there really a push to want to be back out there again, or are you pretty well content doing what you're doing right now?
Well, I'm content doing what I'm doing, but anybody will tell you that raced, you walking the track and the fumes and the noise and the people, and you think of the day and you want to go again, but you get doing other things, and is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. You got your two girls, they're off having successful careers now, and the business here is doing very successul. So I think you've made the right career choice, in my opinion, don't you think?
Well, and it's hard to race in your older years, of course, and it'll be long, it'll be hitting 60, so you got to think of trying to race with the young guys at that age probably isn't the smart idea.
He's still a kid, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let him fool you. I know him. Of course, with all those races you've won, all the championships, a lot of people would expect, have a big roaring send-off. You just kind of went away from the sport, and it was no big song and dance performance. You just kind of, left the car in the garage and went fishing, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't want to make a big hype out of it in case I couldn't retire. I was one of the guys that retired and come back for another bunch of years, and I was lucky to be hooked up with John White, and it was really easy with John. I could do whatever I wanted. There was never any pressure. So the last probably 2 or 3 years I raced, you probably noticed me backing it up. We get down to one night a week, and then I think the last year we never even made all the races in the last season. So just kind of tested the waters with, is it time? And it was, and we just kind of, way we come in, just left.
Yep. Before the pandemic, 2019, you got the phone call that you're going into the Northeast Hall of Fame in Weedsport, New York. You look around that whole compound there. You got guys like Buzzy Rudiman, Dave Lape, Lou Lazaro, and all these guys. Now your picture's alongside of that. What was that initial phone call like when you got that? What was the feeling like?
No, it's pretty.
Yeah.
Honored, pretty good to be, just a small block racer basically from up here and get picked for that. And Danny and I were always pretty lucky. We got noticed what we had done. We even made that top 25 they had a number of years ago. So it's nice that they recognized us, and it was, honored, of course, to be in there.
One of the big trophies you wanted to get, and I'm pretty sure that one stands at the top of the list, doesn't it?
Yep,
yeah,
for sure.
Well, Pat, I tell you, it has been a blast sitting here talking to you, and just looking at the memories here. You and Dan, and even little brother Timmy right there too. He wasn't too bad behind the wheel of the race car either, but he's got a family of his own, so he's doing the same thing you guys are doing, basically.
That's right.
Yep, for sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That's Pat O'Brien, 4-time Mr. Dirt 358 modified, and the winner of 22 track championships, 175 wins. Did I get everything correct? I think I might have.
You probably know them better than I.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back on In the Dirt. Don't go away. We got one more guy we need to talk to, and he's a future Hall of Famer as well. Stay tuned right here. Like and subscribe on In the Dirt.
We arrived at the building just to see from the exterior wall that the front facade was coming undone and pushing forward away from the side wall. We were just in complete shock, didn't know how this occurred.
A lot of people don't realize this, but every individual will at least have one disaster in their lifetime. And when this happens, they don't know what to do. By reaching out to a restoration professional before you have an emergency, it allows you to have some insight on what happens and what to expect. This will allow you to eliminate any kind of anxiety or stress you might go through when it happens.
The restoration company came down immediately and took the steps necessary to create a safe environment, secured the building, and that allowed the engineers to go in and figure out what the cause of the damage was and figure out our next steps from there.
Our people are fully trained and certified in all aspects of emergency response and disaster restoration. We handle everything from fire, flood, sewer backup, wind damage, tornadoes, earthquakes. Basically, we have people that are experienced in every field. There are two parts to a disaster that people don't realize. There's the emergency phase, where we come right away and stop the damages from happening. Then there's the repair phase, where we put everything back the way it was, like it never happened. And our company also offers a warranty, which will give you the comfort and peace of mind for as long as you own your property.
From the get-go, Rex and his crew were able to bring in professional contractors to come in and rebuild the building in a timely fashion. The building now looks better than ever and is up to code. They were wonderful with me, just helping me navigate through my insurance coverages, working well with the insurance company and myself. They always constantly kept me in the loop as to what was happening next. And at the end of the day, it was just the peace of mind knowing that I was in good hands.
Well, we're back here on In the Dirt once again, and we're back at Pat's Radiator, and back with another legend, Danny O'Brien, sitting here next to us. Danny, welcome to In the Dirt. It's always good to have you. Good to talk to you again. And much like Patty, you were out of the car, and now you're back in it. What's been going on with you lately? I know there's been a lot of things going on with you.
There has. Yeah, I was out of the car for 3 years, just over 3 years, and Bob and Randy Slack gave me the call to fill in their car for a while, so that wound up being the full fall tour of 2021. Mm-hmm. Had a good time. We got a win. It was a really cool deal driving for that family. There's so much racing history on asphalt and dirt, and I got my name up on their wall of fame in the garage. So that was pretty cool. And we did, I think, 7 so far this year. We're going to finish up with Brighton and Can-Am, and then I'm probably going back into retirement.
The retirement always comes calling, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's probably, I enjoy it. It's really hard, but you can't do it part-time. You got to be all in or all out.
That's true for sure. Well, much like you did with your brother, I mean, you start off in the same sort of lineage, watched your dad race and went through the whole deal in Kingston and all that stuff. Started racing right around the same time Pat did, didn't he? Right around 1987.
Yeah, he was 85 and I was 87. Yeah. He probably remembers more of the dad stuff a little more than me. I remember the Kingston Speedway, but I was still pretty young and remember the car being at the garage and all that kind of stuff. I wish I remember more of it.
Yeah, that's true for sure. And but I mean, you obviously had enough knowledge and helped out a lot. You helped out a lot of people along the way, and then got your own car. Won right away in your first year. Were you really surprised that you won so quick right away? I
was. We had a lot of good help. Pat and I worked together for a lot of years, and Donnie was helping us then, and we probably got lucky with some starts that year. Cornwall was the way they handicap work. We won 2 in a row, but they didn't handicap you to the back then. So it was still good. We got 3 wins that year, and it was a lot of hard work.
For sure. And you progressed along with your own stuff, and then about early 1991, you got the opportunity to drive for the Gallo brothers back then, which were a pretty solid big block team at the time.
It was. We went to Fonda for a couple of years and got a couple of wins down there, which was a really big deal. I mean, that was a pretty loaded field down there. Jack Johnson and Dave Lape, which just passed recently, the Romano brothers. It was a stacked field, so it was really tough, and I learned so much down there that when I came back up racing a small block car, it was a lot easier.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that from a lot of drivers that have decided, are going to take the big block trip and go down there. Patty did that for a little while. You did that. Mark Hitchcock did that for a while as well. It kind of disciplines you in a way when you go back to 358.
It does, because you're racing with about 350 horsepower back then, less. So, I mean, everything you did when it came back up here, it was almost like slow motion. It just made it so much easier.
Right. And then, of course, 93, the rebirth at Brockville Speedway was where your career really just all of a sudden launched. I mean, you were winning a lot.
We learn a lot, and then you take all that knowledge and start putting it into your own team, and you're concentrating on that one team, and it gives you the opportunity to, travel around and get a lot of good setups from other places, and you're working with one car and one garage. It's a lot easier.
And, we talked about your brother's Super Dirt Car Series win at Can-Am. You got your first at Can-Am. The final lap, I was in the grandstands that night. Tell me about that final lap, because something magical happened. I don't know what it is with you guys and your luck.
Yeah, we blew a left rear going into turn 3, and I had just enough of a lead. It didn't come right off the wheel. We were able to make it across the finish line first, still.
That I could see some of the old pictures with your smile on your face. I don't know whether you're thinking, "Holy crap! What just happened here?" or what the deal is.
It's tough taking your own small team and going to racing against those guys, and they're professional racers. Even back then they were, and they come ready to go, and they have 40 hours ahead of you in the shop during the week when you're trying to work a regular job and do it. So it's tough to beat them.
And you did it in fine style too. Yeah, it was pretty cool to watch. The next year you were going along, just like any other season, winning about a dozen races. Then all of a sudden that awful thing happened at Can-Am. I know you don't remember really anything much about it. It set you back a little bit, but it didn't seem to take much of the fire and desire to go racing and try to win again, did it?
Well, you don't remember a lot of them deals when you're in a crash. Your mind blocks it out. So it probably more affected Pat, my family, my crew, and the guys around me more than it did me. Mm-hmm. And when I came back in the spring, they gave me the clearance in January to go back racing. I was ready to go.
It's just amazing, and a lot of people. If you ever watch that accident, it just makes it's not fun. But he made it through, and I'll tell you, man, you raced hard. I think you raced harder after that than you did before.
Yeah, we didn't do anything wrong that night. I mean, it's just the way the cards stacked up. I was on the outside, but it probably made me a more cautious racer that made me finish more races.
Yep, I think so too. Yeah. And you ended up winning a ton more. From there, you progressed on the late 90s, early 2000s. You went on a run at Cornwall. It seemed like you won the track championship every year. Through that time, you were basically on a Troyer chassis, which was really good to you over the years too, weren't they?
They were. We had a lot of good success with them. We were switching back and forth the coils at that time and learned a lot with that stuff. And those cars were really good back then. We just had a package that worked really good with them. Yep,
and you're running kind of back and forth between big block and small block, and then you got hooked up with the Evoy team mid-2000s, and Brockville Speedway became your playground essentially. I mean, you won everything and anything there.
That was a lot of fun racing with the Evoys, and I still kept my own car in the garage for doing other stuff. And whenever I drove for someone else, I always kept one in the garage. Just you never know. When those deals are going to end, and I always want to be prepared to keep going by myself.
And you won, countless. It seemed like you won track championship after track title every year. It seemed, and looking at the numbers as time went on, 99 wins alone at Brockville Speedway. That's just unheard of. And I think your brother's second with 30. Don't mean to throw that at him, but it's one of them things that you just seem to win a lot of races, and I guess. As you go along, you don't really think about the numbers or whatever. You just keep running and running.
That's just a track that I really enjoyed racing. I raced there my whole career. I understand that track, and I wish you would have told me it was 99 before I retired, by the way, but instead of the spring after. But I just really enjoy that track, and it's one of those places that just fits my driving style.
It seems like it does. I mean, it's tight and it's fast, and you could get around that place so much better. I mean, just the way you entered into the corner and came off the turn. You see a lot of people try to emulate your style, and nobody seemed to be able to do it, could they?
I don't think so. I don't know. It's just a driving style that I had there that worked, and we had a lot of success there.
There was, we talked about earlier, that top 25 all-time best that Dirt made up. Somebody asked you a question, if there's one particular race that you could win in your entire career, what one would it be?
The next one.
Absolutely, right there. Spoken like a true professional.
That's what pays the bills.
That's us, right? I mean, overall, 18 or 19 track titles, 250 wins. A lot of them are still trying to figure out, documents and stuff like that where they win. You got about 250 of them now. What would it mean to maybe get that 100th win at Brockville to maybe do the mic drop, walk away? And
bittersweet.
Absolutely.
It's not going to be for lack of effort on the Slack's part or my part for sure.
Yep, and a lot of the other big races coming up too. I know you want to win Brighton again and all that stuff. So
it would be nice. Brighton was always one of those races that eluded me for years. We get seconds and thirds and just couldn't finish the deal there. So it was really cool to do it.
Well, I tell you, this guy is going to do it sometime, and it's going to be big, and I'm looking forward to it. It's been a blast to sit here and talk to you, relive some old times, relive some good memories, and it's a blast to be here at Pat's Radio. Thank you so much again for
Appreciate you
everything
coming
do.
by.
Thank you very much. Danny O'Brien, ladies and gentlemen, right here on In the Dirt, exclusive presentation right here. Well, that was a lot of fun talking with Pat and Danny O'Brien, true legends. Of course, Pat being the Northeast Hall of Famer, and Danny is definitely a shoe-in for that Hall of Fame as well. Well, we got a lot of upcoming events that these two drivers have been at in years past, and we're going to talk about them right now here on In the Dirt. Napa Auto Parts Super Dirt Week is on the horizon. First week in October, we'll have all sorts of details and information on that in the coming weeks, but make sure you get your tickets at superdirtweek.com. Mohawk Nationals weekend is coming up this weekend. Of course, the Dirt Car 358 Modified Series will be there on September the 16th. The Pete Mitchell Memorial for their Sportsman Division will be on hand. The Battle of the Border Pro Stock event will take place. $2,000 to win. Hot laps start at 6:45 p.m. On September the 17th, the Dirt Car Sportsman Series hits the track along with the Dirt Car Pro Stock Series. They got their Mod Light division and a special $500 to win vintage feature as well. Racing starts at 6:45 p.m. Cornwall Motor Speedway, the Super Weekend's coming up, and the 358 Modifieds will be there on October the 7th, along with the Sportsman, Pro Stock, Mini Stock, and Lightning Sprint. That night gets underway at 6:30 p.m. October the 8th, that's a Saturday night. The 358 Modifieds will be there, a special $2,000 to win 100-lap Sportsman feature as well. Pro Stocks for 40 laps, they'll be paying $2,000 to the winner. Of course, late models and Lightning Sprints are on the card on Saturday. Racing starts at 5 p.m. On October the 9th, that will close out their 3-day weekend at Cornwall. The 358 Modifieds will be on the card for 125 laps, $10,000 to win, plus a $1,000 to win show for the Sportsman Division, and the Street Stocks will be there for a $1,000 to win show as well, plus late models and vintage. Racing starts at 4 p.m. Applefest weekend, we just talked about Danny. He is the defending race winner. He's looking for 2 in a row. Of course, on September the 23rd, it's a Friday night show. It's the Apples Eve Dirt Car Sportsman Race, along with Eastern Ontario Vintage Stock Car Club. The Canadian Modifieds will have their qualifying heat races, along with the Northeast Late Model Alliance. Thunderstock, they'll have an open show that day, along with a mini stock duel in the dirt and a 358 Modified Dash for Cash as well on the Friday portion of the program. Saturday, the Applefest Shootout for the Dirt Car 358 Modified Division. It'll be 75 laps in distance. Dirt Car Sportsman will be there once again. Northeast Late Model Alliance, the Great Crate Race, always a spectacular show there. Thunderstock Duel in the Dirt, along with the UMP Canadian Modified Show and a Comp 4 and Mini Stock Open feature as well. Dirt Car 358 Modified Series, they're back as we talked about earlier at the Mohawk International Raceway on September the 16th. Dirt Car Sportsman Series, all the regional actions starting to wrap up. North Region will be back underway at the Mohawk Nationals this weekend at Mohawk International Raceway September the 17th, and the Championship Tour gets underway during the Massive Malta weekend on September the 23rd. Dirt Car Sportsman Series, the regional action I just mentioned, it had wrapped up, and we have crowned some champions as well. The East Region went to Mike Wright. Tyler Corcoran won the Central Division. Cody McPherson actually tied with Brad Rouse in the West Canada Series, but by virtue of a tiebreaker, Cody McPherson gets the nod for the title. North Canada Series, it was Shane Pecor over Jessica Power by 14 points. Cameron Tuttle won the West Region USA Division, and the North USA Region, I should say. Cedric Govro leads the way by 8 points over Dave Rogers, and 12 points back is our good friend Jessica Power as well. And the champion will be crowned at Mohawk this weekend. Dirt Car Pro Stock Series, they'll be at Mohawk, as we have mentioned, on Saturday. And still to be decided is the Twin Leaf Sportsman Series at Mohawk. That season finale will be at the Pete Mitchell Memorial on September the 16th. Ogilvy's Triple Crown Series for 358 Modified and Sportsman at the Brockville, Ontario Speedway will wrap up during the Dirt Outlaw Apparel King Edward Auto Parts Fall Nationals on October 15th and 16th. Well, like we had last week, we talked about one driver, of course, Mark Hitchcock. He continues to improve and do well. His condition is improving day by day, and thanks again for all your support there. Unfortunately, since that, we have had a couple of things happen to some drivers that we wish didn't happen, and we wish them well wishes, and hopefully they're on the mends here and will get better. Paul Pekonen was working in a shop and had a severe arm injury and recently had his arm reattached. It went successful Everything is going good there, and Paul still is in hospital, but wanted to send a shout out to Paul Picone, and hopefully he gets well soon. And Cornwall Motor Speedway and Autodrome Granby mini stock driver Alexis Charbonneau was struck by a motorist earlier this week. And our thoughts and prayers go out to the Charbonneau family, and well wishes, and hopefully a speedy recovery to a great driver, a great champion, and a proven winner, Alexis Charbonneau. So Paul and Alexis and Mark continue to get well from all of us right here on In the Dirt. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up yet another great show. And of course, want to thank Pat and Danny O'Brien for allowing us to come into Pat's Radiator. What a great facility this is here in Kingston, Ontario, Canada, to film yet another good episode of In the Dirt right here on YouTube. Want to thank the good folks at Disaster RX DKI, Thousand Islands Drone, Rita Acres Family Campground, and Alexandria Home Hardware. Well, I've got my stuff ready to go. I'm headed to the Mohawk Nationals at the Mohawk International Raceway, my old stomping grounds. Looking forward to another great weekend of racing. We'll see you on In the Dirt next time right here on YouTube. Like and subscribe.